no.
Not yet.
Good to go. Welcome back to, you said episode 4. I can't compute in my head.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. Wow.
Gone quick.
It's gone really fast.
Time flies.
It really does. Time flies when you're having fun.
I know. And this today, so for a recap, we do one episode with a guest and one episode with me and Isla and rotate it that way.
Yeah. This is just before holidays, so we're kind of like we're nearly in holiday mode now, aren't we?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The sun is shining, the gin is flowing.
The wardrobe is happening.
Yeah.
That's great. But yes, this is episode 4, and I don't know, we never came up with like a catchy title / subject line, did we?
Could be.
And I also apologise in advance for my sniffling. Just it's actually better than it used to be, so just bear with. It's not like the kind of like sexy.
Phoebe might.
It's a little bit of like heavy
shoes.
It's a little bit like heavy breathing, the kind of level where we try and eat something, you're like gasping.
It's worth it.
It's so hard. So yeah, I do apologise for that in advance.
Maybe we can call it STIs and contraception.
What?
Your opinion.
Your opinion. What do you know?
What do you know?
Myths.
What do you know?
Myths and taboo.
Myth, yeah.
Myths and taboo. Because there are many, would you believe? Not just from our end, but like anyone we've spoken to, which I don't think anyone really knows genuinely, like is very clued up on STIs or contraception.
What they do to your body as well, because that's what I was speaking to people who are like against COVID injections, and they were like, I mean, you just don't know what's put in your body, and I'm like, would you take the pill? Would you have an implant? Like, what do you know what's in that?
It's the same kind of like scale, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you think about it. But yes, but first we must start off with sex articulate.
Woo!
And it's my turn this week, and I've never actually played articulate in real life either. But Jessica is obsessed, so I shall entertain.
You have played it.
I have played it, but like you love it.
What's not to love?
I imagine on this holiday we're going to be playing this a lot.
Do you know I haven't even practiced articulate because you need like you need the cards and the board.
Oh, okay. That'll just take up too much of our precious luggage space. Ryanair.
Yeah. You're ruining holiday.
Would you believe it?
But we do have double cards and Uno.
Oh, great. Very exciting.
Oh, my password is on.
That's annoying. Only you would know how to get in there. There we go. Lovely. Right. Clock's back.
So what's the time? How much time do I have?
I'm going to give you like 30 seconds.
Okay.
As I say, I was really bad at this and actually it was a lot of pressure. You're just so good at it. Okay. What's itchy but you can't scratch?
Vagina.
No. It's a specific. It's contraception and the STI alike.
Chlamydia.
No.
Thrush.
Yes. Well done. Congrats. Ding. What claps but has no hands?
Chlamydia.
That's quite proud of that one. That's for a bar now, so I was like, it's all.
I peeked.
What gets bloody but you can't clean?
Tampon.
Well done. That's it. There were so many more I was trying to Google, but they're all like either just like total innuendos or I just kind of ran out of.
I'll take full marks. 3 out of 3.
Ah, thank you.
Not bad.
And then the lol factor as well.
Yeah.
What claps but has no hands? Love it. Oh, but yes. I suppose we'll start. I mean, there's lots to cover, but I suppose we could start with like contraception. And my question to you is, what contraception are you on, Jessica?
I am on the implant.
The implant. The one in your arm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is my 3rd one. So I got my first one when I first started contraception. I had never been on it until I was 18, and then I'd had like maybe like 4 sexual partners till then, just like one night stands, and then that was the first time I was having regular sex, and just like you just fall into that habit of like getting the morning after pill. Yeah. And then it gets a point where they actually don't let you get any more.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, you can only have so many in a certain period of time, and my mate went and then got it for me because they wouldn't give me another one, which is quite bad. And it was always quite awkward going in because like I'm sure you're the same, like small town where you're from, or even in Glasgow's pretty small, and it's just like there's so much like shame and like they have to go into the special room and they're like, well, why didn't you have protective sex?
But yeah, they kind of, I don't know, I have obviously not seen one after pill in quite a while, but like the questions I got asked, I only went once, and that was for a friend, which was also quite dodgy because like I heard that sometimes they can make you take it there and then, which makes sense because they've given it to you. But yeah, she was asking all these questions, and I hadn't had sex yet, so I was kind of just like, yes, I did use protection, but the condom broke. Like, that's why I'm in this situation. Like, I had no clue. But yeah, she was the same. They couldn't go because of like too many people knowing or whatever. But yeah, lucky that they didn't ask anything further or make me take it there and then, because like I would have been screwed. I don't know what does to your body like that. But yeah,
because the guy I was with, and this is quite annoying looking back. He was like, oh, I don't use condoms, like, but like the classic guy thing. So then I was too young to like stand up to that. So then I just kept being like, oh, just get more natural pill. Then I was like, no, I need to get on like at the pill. So then I started on the pill, and I found like it just didn't react well with me. Like I felt like I was putting on weight. It was really like moody, and I've never had like bad PMS. So I came on, when I was older, I spoke to my mum, and she was like, yeah, when I first went on it, I had a really bad reaction, and it was actually my dad that said to my mum, like, this isn't good for you, like, come off it kind of thing. But they never told me that, and the doctors, that you have to wait a week for it to start working.
Really? What, like when you come off the pill?
When you first take
you start with the pill?
Yeah, it's not like it's imminently, like if you took it on the Monday and that was your first time taking it and you had sex on Tuesday, you could fall pregnant.
That's madness.
You have to wait a week normally.
They do kind of sell it as like a quick fix sort of thing, but like there's so many flaws into it. Because I was reading into like how, obviously I was doing the research, but like the whole kind of like having to take it at the same time every day. And I remember like when I first took it, I was like, oh, how like legit is that? But apparently like the stats of it, I think when it comes to like numbers, if you look at numbers, apparently if you don't take it around the same time every day, like the chances of it working is like decreased massively. It doesn't mean you will get pregnant, but like the chances are like a lot higher. So that is quite like stressful.
They also don't tell you, like I've known a few people who've literally got pregnant and had babies because they were on antibiotics that counteracted it, or they like threw up a night out. And
that was something that was never told. Like crazy.
It's bad. And then I started getting the injections in your bum.
Did you get them?
Yeah, it's like the back, just there, and like I'd hate needles. I was like, why would I do this? You had to go every 3 months.
Every 3 months.
And when you first, well, it seemed easy because I was every 3 months, like just an injection.
Sounds like a good idea, yeah.
And it seemed like the least side effects, but it was like you were quite tender for like a week after.
It's a sore area.
Then I stopped doing that, and then I got the implant. And then I've been on that for like, this will be my 7th or 8th year on it.
It's such a journey though, because like I feel like I'm coming well, like been on the implant, similar to you, started taking the pill, felt batshit crazy, didn't enjoy it. I think that also, I don't know if there must be like some research into like taking the pill at that age when you're going through so much, like puberty wise anyway, but it's also the most like safest method I suppose before. And then I remember thinking like, I cannot like carry like this. Got the implant, was one of the first, I would say, out of anyone that I knew, like girls wise, that went for the implant, and it solved all my problems. But then now that I'm older and have like I suppose more choice or maybe like more education about it, I'm like, how much like my body's changed since then, like how much does the implant still suit me? And then the last time I went and I had the same thought, and she was just like, oh, if it has worked for you, like you might as well stick with it. And I was just like, but that's been like 6 years on this, and I don't know, like hormones wise, and my body's different, like all this sort of thing, like health wise is different, like whether that's sensible. And they do say to like kind of potentially think about changing it or like looking into different options as you get older, because like as your body changes, like post-pregnancy or any of that sort of stuff, like different contraceptions don't work the same. Like your body just naturally, like say the implant worked well for you for like 3 years, but then you got it inserted again, then your like you had mad periods, like that's your body being like I'm changed.
Yeah, true, because when I first got mine, you can like bleed continuously.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck, this is like, because I had a really weird like situation with my periods where I like got them, they were only ever every second month, and then they just stopped, and I was like, when I was like 16, 17, so then we went, my mum took me and we got like an ultrasound just to check nothing was wrong, and they were like, nothing's wrong, like you're kind of small and light, so these things just happen. I was like, fine, and then it just came back. But then it's only ever every second month, and then I got the implant, and it was like bleeding for like 4 weeks. I was like, this is bullshit. But then it leveled out, and now I don't really get any periods.
Yeah.
Every ad hoc, maybe.
It's just really, really hard to know what is normal.
Yeah.
I think it's like the general basis when you speak to anyone, everyone's experience is different. Like whether it's like wonderful and the pill's been great for them, or the implant, or the coil. The coil is also like another controversial one, isn't it? But
that's one
everyone's so different. Yeah. So it's basically like a very, very small metal. I guess everyone's made out of metal. Copper is one that is the one with no hormones,
that's a good one.
and then it just sits like right at the base of your like womb, and has like basically releases. Some of them release hormones, which obviously like decrease the chances of like you being able to be fertilized, and then also like decreases like your estrogen or progesterone levels to stop you getting like slows down all that sort of stuff to stop you getting pregnant.
I wonder how if it's still getting it put in or
This
not.
is the thing. It's so like across the board, because originally I was like, oh, copper, no hormones, that must be wonderful.
Yeah.
Like that's so attractive. Like the thought of not having hormones in your body. But then the insertion stuff does sound
And
rather
you see
scary.
some people, they say they can feel the strength. That's not for
I
me.
know, but I have heard from other people that they have. One of my friends has asked for like sedation, well, like
Really?
or like local like sedation or whatever, just to like make it less of a stress. Because apparently it basically feels like cramping of like contractions, because it is like it's put like right at the base.
And is that, how long does that last for?
5 years.
Oh,
So that is very attractive.
I
Do you know what I
know.
mean? Like 5 years of
But-
no issues.
Because I even hate getting an implant put in. Like when I last got mine changed, I was moved back from London,
Yeah.
and in my head, I had got it changed when I moved to London, and I always thought I'll be in London for 3 years.
Yeah.
I'll come back and I'll get it changed back up here. But I moved back in May. I moved back in May, and then it was like July, and I checked my little. I got all my stuff from London. I checked my little card, and then it said it expired in May, and it was like the end of July, and I was like, holy fucking shit, am I pregnant? Like.
It must be.
But then the lady said to me, the manufacturers can only guarantee 3 years to cover their back, but it probably actually works for 4.
Right.
But like, don't keep it
Not
before
medical
you're
advice.
yeah, it's not medical advice.
Disclaimer: we are not doctors.
Not doctors. But I was getting it changed out, and she was like, because it was COVID, they were going to put. She's like, we don't have enough time with COVID to take it out people's arms and put it in, so we'll put one in your other arm. And I was like, so then I'm going to have double whack hormones. And she was like, no, because that one will be pretty much dead. And I was like, whatever, like I just need this sorted.
Yeah.
But then I got there and she was like, oh, it's quite close to the surface, like I'll just quickly nip it out. And I was like, right, okay, no worries. And she was like digging about, and I was like, and then I just started to overthink like what she was actually doing. And then I felt like, you know, when you go really hot and like your eyes go black, but I didn't think she could tell. I was like, just play cool, she doesn't know. I was like
I'm very
literally
fine.
dripping, and she was like, are you okay? You look a bit weird. I was like, I can't see.
It's awful. But I think when it comes down to is the fact that like this is when you speak to guys, like just in general, I'm sure some guys are really clued up on it, but like they just that's never been a thing that they've had to genuinely think about.
Nah.
And then condoms, I don't know if it's like the culture that, or our generation, or what we're living in, because we can't speak on behalf of like old generations or like even younger than us. But like condoms is just like the last case resort. It feels like in any person I've had sex with, or like I'm thinking off the top of my head how many times I've been offered a condom with all the people I've had sex with, and it's minimal. And then you're just like, is that my problem and their problem? Like the fact that they don't feel like it's their responsibility like whatsoever. Like if we were to go and ask like a sweep around of like straight men and having sex with girls, like would they just have they ever asked the question like, what are you on?
Yeah, true.
I don't know.
Yeah, they don't seem to really care. Like if you're, I've never had a guy be like, oh, just to check, are you on contraception?
Yeah.
They just,
I have occasionally been asked, which is totally fair, but like,
good.
but then I also don't like put forward the question either. Like, I just wonder if it's like a two-way street, being like, oh, by the way, are you gonna like I'm on the pill, or do you have a condom, sort of thing. Like I don't really know.
See, as well, like with responsibility, what I was thinking about is like like my first experience of having to pay for medical stuff was when I went to London, and it was £9 a prescription, right? Which is like you know,
crazy.
like we're not in in a financially precarious situation as situations go. Like we can definitely afford £9. I'm laughing because Isla's got gin down her top.
Yes, you can see that in the video, but whatever. My nice new shirt.
But if you're getting like 4 things, like I have a lot of skin issues, so it was like I had to get 4 different creams, so it was like 42 quid.
What?
For 32. Is it?
It's like, don't ask me. I'm
32.
dyslexic with maths. Like, you know.
I don't think that's right. I'm working commercial, but yeah,
Jesus.
it was expensive. So then I thought, when it comes to contraception, even in America as well, it's probably higher. So like, that should be split between the couple. Like the women shouldn't have to pay for the pill and the IUD and stuff if they're in a long-term relationship. You'd think you'd have it.
Yeah. Absolutely, that should be a discussion. But yet,
you never know. But like guys who are just sleeping with girls wouldn't pay for that.
No.
Whereas a woman has to take on that cost. Which
and
is kind of shit.
Is that the price we pay for the fact that we can get pregnant?
Yeah.
Is that just how it's always been, like, society-wise?
And it's like a woman can get pregnant once in every ovulation period, so that's like what, 12 times a year, maybe less. A man can get a woman pregnant every day. So it's his fault. He's responsible. Like,
the higher risk, is it not? Like,
literally.
Yeah.
So it's so annoying.
It is madness. I actually was, when I was doing my research of like fun facts about like contraception and all that sort of thing. Apparently, no IU, like all contraceptions have never been like medically have been designed by a woman. It's all men. So like they don't have uteruses. So like the IU, like for the coil, for example, was designed by a man.
Really?
It's just like I'm not a man. Like I'm not into medicine or that sort of thing. But like that's crazy that stuff like medicine like that has been designed, which is supposed to be for women, but it's never been made by a woman.
It's like the bra was designed by a man.
Yeah. Just like, interesting.
Crazy.
I know. There's also some fun facts way back when. It's like just like ancient old before like contraception. Obviously, like medicine for conception has only been like in, I think the mini pill came out in the 70s.
Really?
Yeah. So like before that was obviously like, I think condoms have been around for a long time. At least made it was like funky stuff. Like I think it was like old like wax, like horse skin. Like back in the 1800s and stuff, like random shit. But apparently like back in like way back when, they even used to use what was it? There's an old Jewish well which uses sponge soaked in vinegar to block semen in different cases. And then there was like, they used to drink like mercury. Like apparently pomegranates back in Egypt and Greece and stuff, apparently pomegranate seeds meant to like, I know, were meant to ward off unwanted pregnancies as well. But it's just like, obviously people have been trying to like avoid or trying to find contraception for like centuries.
Yeah.
For women, like if you think about it.
That's probably why my nanny had 5 kids.
Yeah.
Irish Catholic.
Good old Catholic.
Well, in high school we got taught the pull-out method.
Well, that's a very controversial topic, isn't it? Like,
in the 2000s, like we were getting taught, like literally 2017, we were getting taught the pull-out method.
In your school?
Yeah.
No.
Honestly. That's the only sex ed we had, like if you love your partner, you should pull out before, and I was like...
so dangerous.
Yeah, well, there's only fucking my year that have kids.
Yeah, that's true.
Not because of that,
no.
like we're obviously all educated enough, but yeah, there's no sex ed.
That's madness though. Like pull out is such a like, because you can like, let's just like put like some of the mess out there, like you can still get pregnant without them, what was it, ejaculating. Yeah. And then like, yeah, absolutely. It's just all of those things. There's so many myths. I remember it was like, oh, you can't, that was another one that I found was old myths in like high school they used to have about like how to avoid pregnancy, and like apparently like, I never knew this one, but there's an old myth about you can't get pregnant if you have sex in like a hot tub, because like the chemicals in it. But if anything, it encourages it because it's warm and encourages the semen.
Oh god.
I know. And like if you like can get pregnant standing up, remember that one? That was an old doozy. It was just like, basically, if you have a penis inside a vagina, you can still get pregnant.
Yeah, don't risk it. You will get pregnant and die.
Yeah, that was the Mean Girls thing. Yeah. I read that so much. But yeah, it's basically one of those things. But I don't know. I don't think I'd ever go back on the pill. But the implant, I don't know. It just feels like exhausting thinking about the fact that because I don't want a baby anytime soon, if ever, and that this is a thing that I'm going to have to constantly be
on top of
reviewing, like changing,
and
the risk you take with that, and like disruption of periods, pain, feeling like shit, like... And
like the long term, like, because people say like, oh, if you do want to have a kid, like you should come off it with enough time that your body can like recoup and stuff. I don't know, like
it's like stuck to a clock.
Like I got told really when I was really young that you could only have 3 implants in a row, and I always believed that. And then when I got that one changed, I said to the nurse like, oh, this is my 3rd one, so what's my options for going on to after this? She was like, well, if it works, you can stay on this. And I was like, oh right, I thought you
where did we get all these myths or kind of like infiltration of like facts? Like it feels like it's still just not...
Is it Chinese whispers?
Educated properly. You said that you did find a website which you put symptoms in though.
Oh, it's such a great website. This is it's actually a girl from my work's partner, and she set up a company called Get the Lowdown. It's like at Get the Lowdown. I think it's like a full stop in between Get and then Lowdown, one word on Instagram. And you basically put in like what your goals are, whether you want hormones or not, like age and health and all that, and then it's like an algorithm that recommends the best contraception for you, and you can book in things with doctors. It's great.
I think that's a really like very helpful thing.
Yeah, it's such a good idea.
I'd love to know exactly what would work for me, because I think it also depends on like who you see when you're getting your consultation and stuff, because some are just like in and out, yeah, this has worked for you, recommend the same thing, but it's actually like, no, I have a lot more questions, but it doesn't feel like that. Like,
yeah, you're right, it does depend on the person you get, because I've had some like awful ones where they've literally been like one day getting a STI test. I was so young, like, sorry mum, and she was like, so could you be pregnant? And I was like, yeah, good. And then like you had to like do the test, and she was like, you had to wait a minute, and she was like, the minute was like the longest time of my life, and she was like, so what are you going to do if you are pregnant? And I was like, probably have an abortion. She's like, well, don't you think you should have thought about that before you'd done this, and then you wouldn't have to have an abortion? I was like, don't you think you should fuck off?
Yeah, like, as if that's like a constructive way of
to take a young girl. I'm like, fuck you.
You wonder if they just to like draw a comparison, but when it comes to like illnesses and other like ailments that people go to like doctors for and stuff, do you think they get the same like I mean obviously smoking, obesity, all that sort of thing, sure, you must get the chat about, but like when it comes to sex, it feels like you're just like so much harder done by, or like the judgment with it. No wonder like when you're younger, the last thing you want to do is go get an STI test, and then hence why it's so rampant. Like,
I remember also like I don't know if you used to do this, but you would give them, well, again, small town, right? It's such a small environment, so you don't really want people to see you going in, like so embarrassing, and you would give them a fake name, in case they knew your mum or whatever. And then I remember being in Glasgow City Centre, and it was like, hi, phone call for Natalie, and I was like, who the fuck's Natalie? And I was like, this isn't her number, and Claire was like, that's you. And I was like, oh my god, yes, Natalie!
It's like, what's our results? Tell me.
Tell me, please. Woo, celebrate.
It is crazy though. STIs as a whole, like, and we'll probably draw into it very soon, but like, still sticking with like contraception. But STIs they all come in hand in hand when it comes to like sexual health.
I know.
And then as a kid, when you're just like brand new, rumours and stuff are rampant, and STIs is.
It's a scary thing.
It's so...
like, I'm going to get blue waffle. Like, what is blue waffle? Is it a real thing?
I think that was a fake, like, Tumblr photo. If you think about it, it's a vagina that's, like, been changed colour. There's no... It looked like it had oil, like, petrol on it.
I had a real fear of getting the blue waffle.
It's not a thing. Can we just, like, put it out there? It's not a thing. I'll Google it. Blue waffle's not a thing.
Don't Google it.
Don't Google it. You probably get banned. But like, that was such a like thing in school, wasn't it?
People would say they were Bluetoothing you a song, and then a blue waffle would pop up. You'd be like,
But like, was that meant to be like an STI? Right. I just thought it was like a viral, like, it's a vagina sort of thing. Like, it's just been edited. You just wonder what you believe when you're younger, isn't it? Like, when it comes to sex and all that sort of stuff. Hence why, and I'll keep saying it for the rest of my life, sex education is shit. It needs to be like done better.
Yeah. And I think that's also why you're like nervous to ask, because it's so like taboo.
Yeah.
Like if it was normal from the age of like really softly from young ages to be like, I don't know how you do it, I'm not a fucking professional, but you know the way, like there is in some primary schools they just talk about being in love and like it's very gentle, and some parents are like, I should be in charge of my kids having sex ed, and it's like, well, are you going to sit down and do it? No. Like,
because then like when they get pregnant, are you going to shame them, or are you going to question about why they've ended up in that situation because they didn't know much about contraception or safe sex? Like it's a two-way street, isn't it? Like you can't be angry at them for ending up pregnant when you know they're going to be having sex, and then be like, oh, but you know, like, were you educated enough? No. It's a failure on that point. Like,
and I feel like a lot of parents think like, oh, if I don't speak to them about it and I make it a really bad thing, then they're not going to do it. When really, it's like drinking, like they're going to do it and just not tell you.
The natural, like if you think about it, like in our society, like drinking culture, underage sex, it is a thing. You cannot deny it.
No.
I remember like thinking I'm not going to have sex, and then as soon as I hit 15, I was like, oh, it's happening. Like,
I remember my first friend had sex when we were really young. She was 13, and I remember, it blew up. Like, I'm sure she won't mind me telling it, but they had sex. She dogged school to get the morning after pill. They got caught dogging it. This wee rat of a guy dogged them in, and they were like, where were you going? And they were like, so and so was going to get the morning after pill because they've had sex. And then we were like,
oh my god.
And they like phoned our full family, and then it was a whole big thing. I remember my mum being like, this is crazy, like like, you better not be getting involved in this. And like, I remember thinking in my head, we're adults, we're 13, like, we know what we're doing. And now I look back at it, like, we were 13, we had no idea what we were doing.
No
Like,
concept.
we were so young.
But you're also making those adult decisions, so if you're gonna, like, you can't stop them, so you gotta, like, you've got to support them regardless, like, whether you think that it's too young, whatever, like,
just give them the tools to make the right choice.
yes, and not, like, end up dobbing them in with, like, horrendous situations like that, like,
I know, and then they're never going to tell you anything ever again.
no, yeah, you lose their trust. It's a no-brainer. I'd like to think if I was to ever have kids that the conversation would change like that, and be able to be like, right, if you're thinking about contraception, start dropping in from like 12, 13 to be like, look, this is just safer.
Yeah, it's actually mad that they don't teach you contraception in school.
No,
Like,
I got a condom.
options. But they
I got a
just say to
condom.
women like this: these are the types of like contraceptive methods that there are.
yeah.
These are what the benefit. Like, nobody ever.
What can
like,
you do for your
yeah.
body? I know, because apparently the pill and stuff like has really good like effects for like endometriosis and all that sort of thing, like, and also can help bring down. I'm sure I found a fact somewhere.
It's
Where-
the first birth control is the first line of treatment for PCOS.
Yes, study found taking the pill for 5 or more years is linked to more than a 20% lower risk of developing ovarian cancer and a 30% lower risk of developing endometrial cancer.
What?
Yeah, and then for women who took the pill for more than 15 years, the reduction in risk is close to 50% for both cancers.
Shit. Oh
Which
no.
is, so there's obviously like some benefits towards it. I don't know if it's because it contains like estrogen and progesterone as well. That I wonder if with those cancer cells, I'm not an expert, but like it helps thwart them. I don't know how I meant to like communicate that properly, but there's obviously a link with
Yeah,
it.
totally.
So there's benefits to it, but you wouldn't know any of these things.
Nah.
No.
And there's have you ever done the one where you take your temperature and it's like when your temperature, take your temperature. My pal used to do it. You take your temperature every day and it's linked to an app. And if your temperature's high, you're ovulating. So there's like days that's like no sex, and the days you're not ovulating, you can have sex. I'm too much of a worrier. I'd be like, no way.
And also like the structure in a relationship, like sure maybe that works for some couples, but like what if you just want to go home and have some fun? Like you're like, no, you can't touch me when temperature's too high. Like,
Yeah, I feel like it's probably more suited to long-term couples where like,
or if they're trying to have a baby or something, maybe, like, I don't know.
nah, because it's for not having sex.
Not
I would
having
get
sex.
you could use it in reverse, but if you're using
Yeah.
it specifically for not, well, or I guess on those days that your temperature is high, you could just use a condom.
Yeah. Or just oral sex.
I remember my mum, she was like, if I was you, I would just double down, use the condom and the implant, maybe take the pill as well. I'm not going to do that.
Stop that sperm.
And now she's like, when are you going to give me a wee grandchild? I'm like,
stop.
I changed your tune.
Couple like 5 years down the line.
I'm like,
Oh
you're
no.
a while then.
No.
Get another dog.
It is wild though. I just think when you reflect back on it, it's like, fuck, I just had no idea. Just took the pill because that's what I think naturally,
It's the easiest one to get.
the easiest one to prescribe kids at that age.
Not scary.
Yeah, and then you're just like, whoa, these
Yeah.
things should not be happening to me.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what it's like right now.
And also like the male pill, like you see so many things where it's like the male pill was on trial and men couldn't handle the side effects. I'm like, oh, poor fucking you. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
I know, I have seen that. It's like the male condom, and there's a female condom as well, which also I've looked at, looks fucking horrific.
How does that work?
I think it's just like a condom which like slips inside, but can you just imagine like the moment? You're gonna lose the moment. You're trying to put like a female condom like
Oh,
up
it's not
you.
Inserted.
It is.
Oh, permanently.
No, it's like a one-time thing. Like
How does it not get lost?
what's the thing? I'm not quite sure.
No.
No, I think it doesn't. I think it's all got like it's got spermicides and stuff in it as well, because obviously it like
Ooh.
a lot of sperm. But again, I think like the risk is like pretty high with those sort of things.
I've heard stories of people getting bullets lost inside them.
Bullets.
Vibrating bullets. You know, you get like cock ring that's got a bullet on the end.
Oh, that would be so great.
Stuck inside you.
I had one of those before. Yeah, I suppose if it's slippery down there, maybe just like we would lose
Things
it.
off and it's up there.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, have you read the what's that book about that doctor that worked in gynae?
Oh, this is gonna hurt.
This is gonna hurt. Was it the Kinder egg?
Lots of things
That's
getting
a
stuck
very,
up.
very famous story.
The guy who also came in, he had a toilet brush stuck up his bum, and he's like, I just fell while I was cleaning.
It's ancient old. I work in nursing. I mean, I actually haven't heard of any. I've not worked in any, so I wouldn't. If I've heard many a story about stuff being stuck up there, it's like very, very high.
Sex gone wrong.
People just they're kinky.
Yeah.
They're trying to be kinky.
But with the toilet brush, like, of all the
That's
things,
filthy.
isn't it?
You'd really hope it was a brand new one that wasn't touched.
Oh, cheeky man.
Yeah. you'd think, well, it's leading on to like STIs, isn't it? That was actually one fun fact I found when I was researching STIs was that people thought that you can catch STIs from like sitting on a toilet.
Yeah, I had heard that for ages when I was younger, and then I was just never sure. Like, you know, some people are really well. Like in a lot of toilets now, they've got the spray to wipe toilet seats.
Yeah, but I thought that was just like because it's clean, not because of like you can catch chlamydia from it.
But somebody's got to be really fucking dirty for their ass cheeks to have germs on them.
That's original. I don't know how it works.
But whenever I see that, I'm like, whose arm is that dirty? It's just like sitting on, like, what is your aim? Like, what is going on here?
It's a really dirty person. But if you look at it from like the aspect of like herpes, it's a massive like generalized scale of like a viral infection.
Like,
so you can get cold sores. So that's a form of herpes, and I've seen other different forms of herpes in work and all that sort of thing. But obviously the most classic and the most like dirty is genital herpes. But like it's no different to the sore ones.
So it's just like if somebody went down on you with a cold sore.
Yes,
you could get
more
it.
likely, yeah.
I guess that could happen so easily if you're just having a one night stand.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and also I was reading it was like herpes. Just even like fair enough, you have a cold sore and it's like flared up. Like that is a likely transmission, but you can also still transmit it even if they're not like actually the thing.
Like you've had the virus.
So like the stigma around it and stuff, you're just like actually I think that has a really high population that has herpes.
And it's like you say, like you can not have it for months and then it can flare up. So you could be with somebody, for years and not know they have it.
Yeah.
And it could just like appear.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But
actually, that's something I was listening to in a podcast where they said people who get in long-term relationships think they don't have to go for STI checks, but you can have a dormant STI and then still pass it on.
Yeah.
But that must cause so many breakups. Like, see if I went for an STI check and had chlamydia, I'd be like, that's great, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, I know. Like, excuse me. But yeah, if you've not been like tested for a long time, or like say way back when, or I don't know exactly how it works, so don't quote me on it, but like say before you met Craig, you had an STI, but you didn't know about it, and then it like went dormant. Yeah, you could still test, you could potentially like test for it later on, and then you wouldn't know, but you wouldn't have had sex with anyone else.
Yeah.
You know, like,
God.
hence why you need to do your research on that, because that's one thing that's like still really badly done is STIs. Because yeah, you are just like instantly considered dirty, and it's so, I hate to say it, but it's so like function toward women.
Yeah. Like,
and women that have STIs are like seen to be so much more like
slut
dirty.
and, like, yeah, totally.
There's like so much like stigma attached to it, like all through history, and then even like LGBTQ and like people of colour, like all that sort of thing. But actually, like I actually read the other day, and it was like STIs are generally higher in these groups, which is a combination of biology. Transmission of the cervix, vagina and rectum is the easiest way to catch an STI.
The cervix, vagina and rectum.
Yeah, so that's why
it is.
So that's no, but like for men, like straight men, like it's technically harder. So like for us, say someone who had chlamydia had sex with me, I might be more likely to pick it up rather than him have it, if you know what I mean. Like I don't know, like transmission wise.
And the
so like, that's why it's like
internal.
Yeah.
The cervix is in your vagina.
And like gay men, it's easier for them to transmit it because they're having sex anally. Yeah. So that's why it's higher in those rates, but like it's the stigma attached around it, like being more dirty.
Because you're having like some, even if you are having more sex, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, and traditionally people in these groups have less access to healthcare because of the economic marginalisation or prejudice, which then leads to less access to screening and treatment.
So it's like a vicious circle.
Yeah, that's why like the whole like HIV like pandemic happened, was just it was like easier transmissible through men having anal sex, but then also there was the like stigma attached to it that was only for like it's a gay man's disease sort of thing. But actually it fucking wasn't. Like if any straight person was having sex as well, they could easily transmit it just as much, but there was no education around it or like no research done into it. It was just labelled as that, and then obviously if you've got that stigma attached, back in those days gay was illegal. I don't know, I think it was around that time where it was legal or still was like very much like not allowed, and they're obviously not going to go and get tested for it. If they get it, they're going to be like judged from the bat.
Aye, true.
Like, did you watch It's a Sin?
It was so sad.
Yeah,
was
anyone
great.
that hasn't watched that, please do.
Amazing.
More for the educational side of things and just the fact that it was seems like a very real, accurate account of that day and age.
It really like opened my eyes to how awful it was. Like I didn't realise the scale of what happened in those days.
And they just like locked them up and just left them. One, because I think the saddest thing was the fact that there's no treatment for it, because it was so rampant, and because with HIV, if you don't, when you get tested, if you don't start like treatment early and all that sort of thing, obviously it just takes over your whole like immune system and everything. So then by the time you need treatment, you're already on the back foot. Like it's all about keeping the viral load down. But yeah, these guys would be crashing in like on death's door because they've been sitting at home.
It was like almost like a COVID of that time where they didn't want to touch, but not as well dealt with it. They didn't want to touch people,
Silent.
Keep them away, and it's
and the stigma around it, the fact that you could get it from touching a person when it's not. Like,
you didn't know.
Horrendous.
And now
horrendous.
they've done like quite a good job now to be like it's not like this awful thing. Like if you've got it, it's manageable. It is manageable.
It's extremely manageable. Like honestly, the medicine for it is like, I couldn't tell you the names of it, but like the medicine for it is amazing. Like absolutely amazing. As long as you keep on top of it and you get your viral load count, because like basically it's all about like the viral, let's say bugs in your blood system, and if that's like at a certain level, like the likelihood of transmission is like so low. So yeah, you could obviously they still recommend to have like use condoms, all that sort of thing, because it's safe sex, but you potentially could have sex with a person that does have HIV and
Not
like
catch it.
yeah.
Amazing. Is there also things that they say that gay men should like drugs you should take for like preventative?
Yeah, it's actually one thing that would actually really interesting that we could speak about another time, because we have lots of gay friends who are much more clued up than we are about it. But yeah, there's new medicine and new where you can take it like almost like before, say they're like going out for the weekend, like they can take a pill which covers them for the weekend and keeps it like on the down low.
If
like,
they
like,
have it.
Just like protects them against it. If they go out
amazing.
and have sex, yeah. It's kind of very, very brand new. It's not like super well known, but yeah, there's way more protection for them these days. So
and that's free through the NHS.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So it's not all kind of like doom and gloom / like, oh, if you're a gay man, the likelihood of you getting HIV. But they do get more testing for it and all that sort of thing, which is rightly so.
Yeah.
But that's also because of the fact that STIs are easily more contractable through their sex. But
I feel like with STIs as well, like one of the big things is it always comes back to shame.
Yeah.
And like, see now we're in such a like digital age, and like with COVID, like doing like doctor's appointments over the phone and stuff, which I fucking love. Like I think it's great. I don't unless you have something you really like, let's say internet or whatever. But I'm like, why can you not do an STI like appointment over the phone? Just and contraception, just ask about it if you're not confident to go into this surgery.
yeah, I know. I think I'm trying to like reflect on when I was getting my STI testing, all that sort of thing, and I mean, this is before COVID, and it's like drop-in clinics. I don't know if you've ever been to one where you just like get your swab and all that sort of stuff. And it does feel like they just ask you the atypical questions, and you just kind of wonder if there's like, I mean, I was very fortunate when I was going to get my STI test. There was no kind of like real dramas, no kind of like abuse or had any sort of like history of that sort of thing. But it must be really, really hard to go knowing you're going there for a reason to get tested, and you've got a fear, and then you kind of just been like asked all these questions. Like, yeah, you already felt ashamed even just going because you're going to be safe. Like, you're having.
It's good that you're going.
Yeah.
It should be a positive. Like
it's kind of like, oh, it's like a whole build up thing, and yeah, if anything, you're like quite confident that you're going out to get it done. Like, it just felt such a build up, and now that I've been so many times now, like it's a no brainer. Like, it makes sense if you're single or even in a relationship. Like, going and getting STI tested is just like part of your health stuff.
Should just be like going for like an eye check.
Yeah.
Should be like an annual thing.
I mean, I'll be totally transparent on this podcast as always, but I have had an STI, and I was in said clinic when I found. Oh, did I go? When I got swabbed, and then they give you this kind of like phone records or whatever, and it's horrendous because you're like, gonorrhea, negative, blah blah. And the last one, of course, was like positive, and I was like, oh my god, it was like back in uni. I was like, oh my god, what? And like the instant thought, like you do instantly feel dirty, which was ridiculous. Like now reflection on, like it's so likely. Like I was single, having fun, like all that sort of stuff. Like the likelihood of me catching it was quite high. But yeah, you go back in because you're like, I'm here because I had a positive test, and she comes and sits you down. And you're just like have to go through all like how many sexual partners we had, all that sort of thing, and they do like the anonymous text thing where they're like, if you don't want to tell, because like. I don't know. Everyone's must be different with their opinions, but like, should it be law to tell someone? Is it your conscience? Depends if you can. But I don't know. I would quite like to think that someone almost didn't have a choice to have to tell me that they've got an STI. Yeah. Like the risk of it to me. Yeah. I could then not go get tested for how many years. Obviously, it's my responsibility. Yeah. There's so many risks with it. So obviously, it's part of my responsibility. But it takes two to tango, doesn't it?
100%.
But she was like, oh, do you want us to do the anonymous texting? Or, and I was just like, no, I'm a big girl. I was just like, I'll do it
Hello,
myself.
me.
I did say, like, I'm a big girl and she had a student with her, and the student burst out laughing. I was just like, this is a bit of a doom and gloom conversation. Like, I need to, like, lighten this up a little bit. But yeah, it's just like mad to think of, like, the connotations that came with it. I actually felt dirty, which was so ridiculous.
So wrong.
But it was so minor. Like, I was very lucky in the sense of, like, there's no, like, lasting effects or anything. And
Yeah.
since I've had a golden track record. But that in itself, you're just, like, Googling, like, all the sort of, like, symptoms and everything. I had none, though, which is, like, the biggest thing. There's no, like, there's a lot, like, most of, like, STIs have, like, very, very little symptoms.
That's true.
Which is the scariest part of why it's so instant, like, easily, like, transmitted. But
especially, like, yeah, there's something you don't have anything at all, and then people are surprised they've had it, but if you leave it undiagnosed, it can lead to infertility. Like,
yeah,
the side effects can be quite bad if it's like a long-term problem.
yeah.
But yeah, when I was reading about stuff, I also read, what was it? It was something to do with women who have experienced domestic violence and abuse.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a higher proportion that have been to like STI clinics.
Oh god,
So,
really?
oh, let me see what it was. It was something like, it was actually a really crazy stat.
Oh, there you go. There it is.
Oh yeah, so basically, it was saying that women who've experienced domestic violence and abuse are 3 times more likely to have had gynae and sexual health problems like STIs, UTIs, unintended pregnancy, which you can kind of get. And 47% of women attending the sexual health services will have experienced domestic violence at some point in their lives. But oh, sorry, that's my dog.
I know. Do you want to see her?
I might, yeah.
Yeah.
But wait, let me finish my point.
Gonna edit all this out.
But what was quite like worrying was that like obviously the practitioners in that situation had like a real duty of care,
Mm-hmm.
but most of them hadn't had any training in specifically identifying when domestic abuse and violence had happened.
Oh my god.
So that's like their first person they're going to, like this must like, well, we don't know, there might be no signs, but they should, the person that they're going to for help should be able to identify it.
Yeah, I think like when it comes to STIs and all that sort of thing, like the consultation, surely you need to, like, there needs to be better like screening for that sort of thing, because that's like literally potentially the only time they're going to be on their own to be asked all these sort of questions. And it's just like it needs to be taken more advantage of. You do wonder if there needs to be more done for that, because the likelihood, if you say the stats are like linking up with it, then surely you'd be able to be like, are you okay? Like, just literally asking, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because they might be coming to be like, someone needs to ask me because I'm like so scared.
And that they're out, like they're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't have somebody going with you for a lot of STI checks. Yeah, true.
But it's scary. It is that is super scary. We do apologise in advance if you hear any clicky clacking, because that is Olive, and she will not go to bed. So she's staring at us evil life in the corner.
The OLIVE, I don't want to say her name because she'll come over.
Yeah, that's true.
She's a small chocolate brown spaniel. For anybody that doesn't know.
A very small one, but my god, she packs a punch. She's very sweet. Don't look her. But yeah, I'll read this. Like, this was one of the stats I found from like back when like STIs. The STIs have literally been around since like the dawn. Like cavemen definitely had them.
How did they start? Did somebody did somebody not shag a goat or something like that? That's true. Somebody shagged an animal. That's how HIV started, I'm sure.
Stop it. Disclaimer that we don't know if that's true or
We
not.
don't know that. I got told that.
That's wild if that is true.
I'm sure
I wonder where STIs came from though. I do wonder.
Bestiality.
Any scientists out there then?
But the monkeypox, which is going about the now. Oh, again! Why did you not get in your mouth? She's drunk!
I've had one gin.
Sloppy
You need a strong stomach to talk about all this. Exposing myself big time.
Monkeypox, that new thing that's happening in the UK,
Yeah.
that's caused from rats and squirrels. It's passed on by them.
Passed on, isn't it?
Most of this shit is passed on by
Yeah.
animals.
See, one of STIs came over from that, didn't it?
Bloody animals.
But yeah, in the 1800s when the pox, which actually was
The pox.
syphilis, gonorrhea, you know, that like took over.
Oh, I thought you meant chickenpox.
I think it was either syphilis or gonorrhea apparently, and women were sent to the workhouse and men were sent to the hospital when they were diagnosed with it.
What?
So like women were just sent to fucking die and
Continue
men were
working.
actually treated for it.
We need to have a revolution.
Oh my god, it's absolute madness. And apparently syphilis has reached its highest level since the Second World War.
Well, yeah, so I read this thing and it basically said that So like STI Google searches skyrocketed after lockdown. Like took a big like nosedive because obviously people were staying at home just like wanking themselves off. So like
masturbating, darling, masturbate.
So like searches for chlamydia plunged by like 78% from March to May. But now they've all started to be in the rise again, and the most googled search during peak lockdown was HPV. But I thought HPV was the one that you get the injection for in school. Hipnovirus.
So I think my phone's up there. I was gonna say we could Google about the HPV, but I think everyone has it. It's just more when you get vaccinated for it. It is really should do a research actually for that one, to be honest. But I think everyone has it. But the cells, like I think it's like a injection you get to help protect you against it, like or like stops it flaring up. I don't know.
Do you remember the advert for that with the girl on it? We used to all do it in school, and it was like, "Hi, I'm Jane. I'm getting my HPV vaccine today."
They're like Scottish NHS.
Scottish NHS.
Basic of
Somebody's recorded it in their living room with like their little like fucking camcorder.
We really have no hope, do we? Like it's just no education. Maybe like us talking right now is just like you might be listening and be like, fucking hell, those girls know nothing. Like,
I know.
really, it's a real reflection on where our education was at when it comes to our own health, like sexual health, but God almighty. But yeah, I mean, I know that you can like buy STI like tests, you can get them in the post, you can send them away and all that sort of stuff.
That's so good
like,
though, I think that should be more common.
Yeah, they were definitely doing that in uni. I think because obviously they target uni because it's rampant, isn't it? But yeah, basically, it's high. But yeah, symptoms and stuff like if you're not trained on them, you wouldn't know.
No,
to be honest, and the fact that they also don't really have many symptoms is not ideal.
I know, and I guess like the more regular sex you're having, then the more regular tests you should get.
Yeah, and the responsibility lies like with
both
parties, but I don't know if there's like less. I don't know. This is purely just going off when like people got STIs or rumored to have STIs in high school, and like boys definitely had them and they were like meh, but girls were like fucking no one touch her.
Yeah.
She is like gone of God, damaged goods. Like see you later.
I know.
It's horrendous.
I know, but yeah, it's weird because there's so much different opinions about like if you were dating somebody and like if you were like on a serious course with someone. I think like people say like some guy like don't tell guys how many people you slept with because they'll have a thing about it, but like it's ridiculous. Like sex is not a bad thing.
No.
Why is it such a like a big issue?
And why is having more sex with more people like seen as like, oh well, like she's definitely an STI sort of thing? Like why is that like all seem to be linked when actually you definitely can still get an STI in between relationships or whatever? Like you literally could have had sex with two people and you still could get an STI.
I know.
So it means nothing.
Also, like they're probably going to know a little bit. Well, I guess there's two ways you can look at it because some people can have a lot of sex and really bad sex, and some people can have a lot of sex with. Sorry, I should have said some people can have a lot of sex with multiple people, and you can actually quite often be bad at sex because you're not learning that much.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have continuous sex with one person and you're in that safe space and you can explore more, you're probably you could be better in some respects. But like, it's so unique to different people. Like, see if somebody's not offending you, just fucking let them do what they want to do.
Yeah, it all like links in together, doesn't it? When you think about like when we spoke about porn and like people watching porn and then like sex and all that sort of stuff, you're just like, oh God, it's not that deep.
Put your energy into something else.
Yeah.
Take a hobby up.
Why is sex so frowned upon? Or it seems like it's like one end of the scale, isn't it? It's just like, oh, let's be uptight and like never speak about it and like sex is bad, and then like, oh, if you're open about sex, then you're seen as like some hippy dippy like drug taking shagger.
Yeah.
And it's just like, where is the medium of people just enjoying it and it being part of like a healthy relationship?
I know.
I feel that's what we found like GLORIAH, isn't it? Like just trying to find that like healthy balance when they're like, oh, you're like starting to come here about sex, and it's like, well, yeah, but we're not like here like taking magic mushrooms and like
or like shagging
having orgies. Like we're actually just like going off our experience from like our relationships and the fact that it's just part of like life, nature. I don't know.
It's probably like it's the biggest target market you could have, and we're all here because someone had sex. Yeah, like
I know. If you think about it, why are we trying to stop it or like stigmatize it? I don't know. Maybe the jinx hit me and I'm like, ah! Just like, let people just have sex for God's sake. And if they don't want to talk about it, that's also fine.
Yeah.
Or they want to keep it private, that's also fine.
Yeah, some people are like, that's another thing with people don't want to talk about it. It's like, well, they're a prude or this or that. But
Yeah.
like, maybe you're just actually not that close to them.
Yeah, I think that's what you have to like highlight. Like, as much as we're kind of like, oh, we need to speak about STIs and like we need to like educate ourselves about contraception and all that sort of thing, like, and learning about sex from each other. Like, yeah, people are like, it's okay to be private as long as you're like clued up, I think.
Yeah, it's okay.
And you don't
to
have to share like every like intimate detail with like your partner, like you having sex with your partner with other people. Like,
definitely not.
It seems to be such a like almost like gossip thing sometimes. And
it's not even like if you're in a couple, like you might be okay talking about it, but if your partner's not comfortable, then don't overstep their boundaries.
It's respect like that, isn't it? Yeah, amen to that.
We're so wise.
Aren't we just? Ours are 26, and trust me, if any of these are facts that we found online, but like, please don't quote us. You're just literally like as topic of conversation, because it is very, very broad, and also they can get it wrong. And it also just goes to show, like, if you're listening to it and you're like, oh my god, yeah, these girls definitely haven't had proper education about it, to fucking tell us.
We've not.
We need it.
We're trying to make the change.
We are trying to make the change by putting out there what we kind of know, and then if you feed us back and be like, this is where it's at, like, this is a reflection on our generation and where we're at.
It's literally what we're trying to do is like just start the conversation with our basic knowledge and then learn from people and then make that content available for people who want it. And I guess that's also a little plug why we've got such good guests coming on the show. So we've got like coming up, we've got like a menopause nutritionist who really explores how, I mean, it's in the name, like how what you eat and what you put into your body can help with menopause symptoms. But I'm fucking buzzing about it. I feel so passionate about like nutrition and mental health and stuff. So she's coming on. We've got a tantric sex therapist. So interesting.
Like
I'm not even
going through sex,
I'm not even going to try to explain it because I was like blown away. But like, we're bringing people on who have subject matter experts that we can't fill. But this is just a bit more of like soft topics that like we've experienced. That's our personal experience, really.
I think it's just building it up, and obviously
can't take that away from us.
We can't change the world, but we'll try one podcast at a time. But I think it's like it's just trying to like put it out there and give the platform. Because it's a space that needs filled, and it's so fluid, and I don't know, everyone's got their own opinions, don't they? Like, exactly. You could ask like another group of girls same age, and they have completely different opinions with completely different experiences, and that's like why it's so, you just need to talk about it. Like,
we're both straight. If we brought some like our friends on who are lesbian or gay, they would have a completely different take on like different experiences that we would have had.
Completely different like views on relationships and STIs and contraception, because Jesus, I don't know where to start.
I know. Oh, imagine like if you were a girl who talked about any contraception.
My god, it would be lovely.
Double periods though. That could be tricky.
I
guess if you sync up, it would be better.
It'd be miserable together, like.
But you'd probably rather sync up.
Just be miserable together. What was the country that brought in just as a final note, but like that country that's just brought in
menopause days off.
Menopause days off. Is it menopause days off or is it period?
It was menopause.
Is it? Belgium.
You've made that up.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere in Europe, is it not? They got to whatever country did it, because
I'm gonna vote like Scandi, like Sweden.
Very liberal over that side.
They're ahead of the curve.
They're very needed. Trust me.
Yeah, it's definitely not the UK.
No, it's definitely the UK. We're so far
from
that. But I hope you guys. I don't know if you learned something. Maybe we did. I don't
know.
Just
our rambling opinions, but hopefully you enjoyed it.
One gin deep. It always just gets the conversation flowing, doesn't it? Jess pours some strong measures.
It's talent to have.
Maybe we'll do a podcast and just like maybe you'll be able to tell how many gins we've had. Like guess.
We should do a podcast about just wrecked. Like we'll have like 5 marks and be like, hello.
Share some very deep dark secrets. Who knows? It's like get to know us.
X-rated.
Definitely.
But so our next podcast we will have a guest. It'll be a lucky dip, depending on who we get in registered first. But we'll either be an artiste, menopause nutritionist, tantric sex expert.
God, there's so much. Honestly, it's been filling up. It's been such a joy. A doula as well. it has been such a joy being able to do this as part of GLORIAH because
Meeting so many interesting people.
oh, it's amazing. Selfishly, it's for us,
Yeah,
it's
no.
great. Like,
So we're friends.
love to give the platform to all these people, like all these women and
Yeah.
men, actually, as you'll see.
Yes.
But yeah. Oh well. Hopefully, you guys go away and do some googling for us about STIs and contraception.
And go get your screening.
Yeah, go get screened.
Go get checked.
Maybe I'll go get an STI check.
And get your smear if you've not had it.
Yeah, big plug.
It's
Big plug
important.
for that
It's important.
because it's really not that bad.
It's not. I mean,
So we tickle.
I'm a wuss. I faint every time I get my bloods done. I'm like, I'm not going to faint. I'm not faint. So, and I didn't faint.
Oh my god! As a nurse, I'm like disappointed in you.
I'm like your worst patient.
Oh, but thanks for listening, guys, and hope you guys have a great week. And yeah,
Have a good one. Have a Margot on us.
yeah. Night, night, Olive.
Bye.
Bye.